Hey everyone, Val here, and this is the beginning of our 4-week Advent study, and I hope you all join me. Just trying to go over here and make sure this is set up right. Just give me 1 second. I'll give some people a chance to come into the chat with me. So please join me, come into the chat, answer some questions, ask some questions. I will do the best I can to answer whatever I can. But we're going to be using the Bible. I have the NIV Study Bible. It's Life Application Study Bible. So this is the Bible I'm going to be reading out of, and I am going to be referencing. If you have another kind of Bible, that's fine. All Bibles have the same content, but read a little bit differently, so it makes it easier for some people to read. Now, as a disclaimer, I am not a teacher of the Bible. I facilitate Bible study groups, and I'm doing this just because I want to get the word out this Christmas that it's not about gifts and it's not about toys and that. It's about God. So I wanted to put this out. I think our world needs a little bit more of God right now and a little bit less of everything else that's going on. So please join me. Let me know you're here. And we're going to be starting our study. So let me just do one more check. I want to try to get some people in, but if they're not coming, then that's fine. I'm going to get started. Look, says my computer saying there's a snow warning. I hope that's not true. I am not looking for any snow. The radio station, the Christian radio station, contacted me this morning and asked me if I would volunteer, not this Friday coming up, but the following Friday for a concert that's coming to a church in Fredericksburg, and they need some volunteers to help out. So because I have that night free, I think I'm going to do that, and I think Steve will want to do that too. So that should be a good time. We get to see the concert. It is a free concert anyway, so that should be a lot of fun. All right, so let's start out, and I am referencing very loosely the book Experiencing Christmas. This is Christ in the Sights and Sounds of Advent. This book is copyrighted, so I cannot read out of the book. I am using it to reference some of the scriptures. I'm not using any of his personal stories in there or anything like that. But if you want to find that book, I am sure you can find that through Cokesbury. I think I got it out of Cokesbury. It's the Methodist books, or you can probably find it on Amazon or any of those places. So be sure to get the book if you want to. It's not required for the study. Like I said, I just loosely based it on that, kind of read through it, and then kind of did my own little thing here. So I'm going to start out this study today with a question. What's your favorite Advent or Christmas memory? Do you have a favorite Advent or Christmas memory? And this is where, if you are in the chat, I would love for you to write a memory down. If you haven't made it to the chat, put a memory in the comment section below, and I'll read your memories later. Christmas memory. My favorite Christmas memories, I think, are cooking. My mom used to bake cookies and stuff all the time, so we would always have that as family time, getting together and baking pies and cookies and everything like that for the family and for friends. So I think part of my traditions, part of my memories are the baking at Christmas time and just spending time with family. We always had Christmas, with our family, my mom, my dad, and my sisters and my brother. But we didn't have a whole lot of extended family. So our Christmases were small, but it had all of us there. And then we did go to church. So we went to church, and church was a big part of our family growing up. Hey, Dee Dee from the Dee Dee Files, and he is in the chat, and I'm glad that you joined us. So we are talking about your favorite, your fondest Advent or Christmas memory. If you have one of those, let me know in the chat. We're just going to have a little discussion, and we're going to do some Bible readings, and we're going to find out what the days were like for Mary and Joseph leading up to Christmas. So, and this is called, if I didn't say it, Do You See What I See? So it's all about seeing. So the time, this is the time to prepare your house for Christmas. So as you can see behind me, I've got my Christmas tree up already. I'm starting to put up decorations. This is my dining room. I'm sitting in my dining room. So my Christmas tree, the big Christmas tree is in my dining room. So you see it as soon as you enter the house. I'm also going to put up a small Christmas tree in the back today. So that will be where I'll be able to see it when I'm sitting in my chair, in my easy chair at night, reading and not reading, but watching YouTube videos and knitting and all of that fun stuff. So, so tell me, like I said, about your favorite Advent study. It could be stuff like baking, and that's what it was for my family. It was baking. It was decorating. We all decorated together, wrapping gifts, shopping, drinking hot chocolate, being out in the snow. I was raised in northern New York, so we had a lot of snow, and we were always out sledding and playing in the snow and building snowmen and all of that stuff. Then we would come in and we would have hot chocolate. We didn't have a fireplace, so it wasn't like we sat around the fire or anything, but we did drink our hot chocolate. Maybe you read Christmas stories. Maybe you watched Christmas programs on TV. I think back in my day, they probably didn't have they had like Charlie Brown Christmas and stuff like that, but they didn't have the Christmas Hallmark stories and stuff like you can get today. Maybe singing Christmas carols, stuff like that. So these are how we've probably spent most of our days growing up. But how did Mary and Joseph, leading up into the Christmas story, going to Bethlehem, how did they start out? We're going to reference Luke 2 in the Bible. And this is going to be verses 1 through 5. So I'm going to read that to you. And it says, in those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This is the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to his own hometown to register. So Joseph went up from the town of Nazareth to Galilee, to Judah, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born. All right, so this is Luke 2, 1 through 5. They're going up to have to be counted. And why would they need to be counted? Why did they do a census? What was the importance of doing that? I'm going to reference the footnotes at the bottom. 2:1, it says, Luke is the only gospel writer who related the events recorded to world history. His account was addressed to a predominantly Greek audience that would be in and familiar with the political situation. Palestine was under the rule of a Roman Empire, with Caesar Augustus, the first Roman Empire, in charge. The Roman rulers, considered to be like gods, stood in contrast to the tiny baby in the manger and was truly God in the flesh. The Roman Caesar registration was taken to aid military conscriptions or tax collections. So they were doing it for the reason of collecting taxes. They wanted to know how many people belonged to the government so that they could collect taxes from them. The Jews weren't required to serve in the Roman army, but they could not avoid paying taxes. Augustus' decree went out in God's perfect timing and according to God's perfect plan to bring his son into the world. So that he wanted them to go back to Bethlehem to have the birth of the child there. That was God's perfect plan. The Romans ruled the civilized world at the time. By contrast, Joseph controlled very little. Against his better judgment and political convictions, he complied with the Roman order to make a long trip just to pay his taxes. His fiancée, who had to go with him, was about to give birth. So Mary's about to give birth. They're loading themselves up with the donkey. They're just carrying Mary on the donkey and making a long trip to Bethlehem. Because they had to go and register for the census and pay their taxes. The Romans were in control insofar as human authority can get its way by expecting human power, but the Romans did not recognize their limitations. In reality, God controlled the world. In all times and places, he works his will. By the decree of the Emperor Augustus, Jesus was born in the very town prophesied by his birth. Even though his parents did not live there, Joseph and Mary were both descendants of David. The Old Testament is filled with prophecies that the Messiah would be born in David's royal line. So, hi, back in Jersey is here. Good morning. I hope you will enjoy this Bible study. This is the first week of the Bible study. So we all know that Joseph and Mary are going to Bethlehem because there's a census and they have to pay their taxes. And it was prophesied that it would go down this way. And I hope everybody has their coffee. So I thought it would be good if we looked at some of the prophecies. Because the prophets back then, they told us a lot about what was going to happen. There was a Savior going to come in the world. He was going to free us of our sins. He was going to make changes. He was going to offer hope. So let's look at a couple of the prophets. So we have Micah, and I'm going to turn to Micah in here. Let me find him. And if you want to follow along, I'm on Micah 5, and I'm going to do 2 through 5. And it says, this is where Micah's, he's a prophet, and he's going to, oh, good, she has her coffee. And he's going to prophesy, but he's going to predict that Jesus is going to be born. And God gives these words to the prophets to say. So what he's saying is on Micah 5, verse 2, but you, Bethlehem, Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come to me one who will be the ruler over Israel, whose origins are from of old, from ancient times. Therefore, Israel will be abandoned until the time when she who is in labor gives birth. And they're talking about the church there. She who is in labor gives birth. And the rest of his brothers returns to join the Israelites. He will stand and shepherd his flock in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God. And they will live securely, for then his greatness will reach the ends of the earth, and he will be their peace. So Jesus is going to come to offer peace. So looking down, and this is a study Bible. And like I said, I have to study with everybody else. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a teacher. I am just a studier of the word. So when I'm looking in my study Bible on what is it that Micah said, because it's not always clear what they're talking about in their scriptures or in their prophecies, I look at my footnotes so I can understand it better. And it's saying Ephrathah was the district in which Bethlehem was located. So it's referencing a district in there, because if you're reading it, you may not know what they're talking about when they use that. And it's also going on to say this ruler is Jesus, the Messiah. Micah accurately predicted Christ's birthplace hundreds of years before Jesus was born. The promised eternal king in David's line, who would come to live as a man, had been alive forever from of old, from ancient times. Although eternal, Christ entered human history as a man, Jesus of Nazareth. This chapter provides one of the clearest Old Testament prophecies of Christ's coming. A key descriptive phrase is, and he will be their peace. In one of Christ's final talks, he said, "Peace I leave with you, and peace I give to you. I do not give you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid, because Christ's first coming, we have the opportunity of experience peace with God, with no more fear of judgment and no more conflict and guilt. Christ's peace gives us assurance, even though wars continue. At Christ's second coming, all wars and weapons will be destroyed." Isn't that amazing? Isn't that awesome? Christ's come, he's brought us peace. The world is still going to go on as it goes on. The world forgets about Jesus. It forgets about what Jesus is offering us, what God is offering us through Jesus. But the hope is still there for all of us who believe. So hopefully we can bring Christ closer to us this season instead of the running out, having to buy gifts. I told my children this year, I am retired this year. I told my children that Christmas was going to look different this year. It's not going to be filled with tons and tons of gifts like it was before. I'm spending more time volunteering because I don't have to go to work. I don't have to be running around and trying to, make every dollar that I can make. I'm okay with making less money because I'm retired and spending more time doing the things that are important to me, like my missions work. So Jesus is saying, I'm offering you peace. Are we going to accept the peace, or are we going to say, no, we're going to stay with the hustle and bustle of the world? This should be a time of peace. So I hope you all will take a chance through this study and through meditation or through prayer or through Bible reading this season to find a little bit more peace in your life. It's also saying Micah's prophecy of 7 shepherds and 8 leaders is a figurative way of saying that the Messiah will raise up as many good leaders when he returns to reign. This contrasts with Micah's words in chapter 3 about Judah's corrupt leaders. The Assyrians symbolically refers to all nations in every age that oppose God's people. These good leaders will help Christ defeat all evil in the world, and I am so looking forward to the day that evil is gone out of this world and we can have peace. Absolutely. The spirit of Christmas, giving back. I spent yesterday morning at the Salvation Army Distribution Center, helping with the angel tree donations, sorting them, putting them with the children's names. I did some of the I guess the silver bells, they call it, for gifts for the seniors. I helped to sort some of those. I unpacked 40 or so Easy Bake ovens that will be given to some of the children that came in on a pallet from Walmart. And yes, thank you, Walmart. They do donate a whole lot of items to children in need in the holiday season. So I do appreciate that. I know a lot of people don't like Walmart, and this is not an ad for Walmart by any means. But yes, they're looking out for the children too. So I'm going to go to Isaiah 11, 1 through 9. And Isaiah was a prophet. You give blessings, you receive blessings. We need to be a blessing to others. If we start and do something kind for somebody, and it could be as much as just opening the door or helping somebody carry their packages or whatever to their car, their groceries to the car. If you give blessings, you'll receive blessings. I truly believe that. So hopefully we can be a blessing to somebody this Christmas season. So Isaiah was a prophet, and the prophets are telling about the birth of Jesus. I'm referencing Isaiah 11, 1 through 9. And I'm going to read that for you. It says, the branch of Jesse. And it says, a shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From the root of a branch will bear a fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him. The Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and the Spirit of power, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. And he will delight in the fear of the Lord. He will not judge by what he sees with his eyes or decide by what he hears with his ears, but with righteousness he will judge the needy. With justice he will give decision for the poor of the earth. He will strike the earth with his rod of his mouth. With the breath of his lips he will slay the wicked. Righteousness will be his belt, and faithfulness the sash around his waist. And they're talking about Jesus, and Jesus is going to come, and he's going to breathe with his lips, and he's going to slay the wicked, and he's going to be there for the poor and the righteous. It says on verse 6, the wolf will live with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the goat. The calf and the lion and the yearling together. Everybody's going to get along. And the little child will lead them. The cow will feed with the bear, and their young will lay down together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. The infant will play near the holes of the cobra, and the young child will put his hand into the viper's nest. There will be no need to be afraid. Everybody was going to live in peace, and nobody will harm anybody, and this will be the perfect world. And in Jesus' second coming, everything will be perfect, and they will neither harm nor destroy. And all my holy mountains, for the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. So that's a pretty powerful prediction from Isaiah. He's saying that everything's going to be working together as it should work together, and there's not going to be any evil, and everybody's going to get along, and everything's going to be wonderful, and this will be the perfect world, and there's hope. This is telling us that there's going to be hope, and hope is a big thing. We need a lot of hope right now. So there's 4 gospels in the Bible. There's the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay, so each gospel writer is writing from a different perspective. That's why when you're reading the gospels, it's like one gospel might have something in it, another gospel might have something else in it. One might leave out something that somebody else put in it, but basically it's the same. The gospel writers were talking about the birth of Jesus, some of them, but some of them just about they're presenting information to different people. Okay, coffee. All right, so I'm going to basically break down the gospels for you real quick so you kind of have an understanding, because in this study, the next 4 weeks, this week and 3 more weeks, I'm going to be talking and reading from the different gospels. So this is where I'm coming from. Okay, so the Gospel of Matthew was written in 60 to 65 AD. Matthew was a Jewish tax collector who became a disciple of Jesus. The Gospel forms the connection link between the Old and the New Testament because of its emphasis on the fulfillment of a prophecy. So Matthew's talking about the fulfillment of a prophecy. We're looking back at Isaiah and Micah and these other prophets. And so Matthew's going back and saying, okay, the prophet said this, now this is happening. This is what's happening now. The gospel was written for the fellow Jews. So his gospel is written for the Jews. So he's basically speaking to the Jews as he's writing the gospel. So they have an understanding of this was what was prophesied back then, and this is what is happening now. So this, we knew this was coming. God told the prophets told us, and now this is happening. So when we look at Mark's gospel, that was Matthew. When we look at Mark's gospel, this was probably the first gospel that was ever written. It was written in 55 to 65 AD. He was not one of the 12 disciples. He accompanied Paul on his first missionary journey. So he basically talked to Paul and got a lot of his information from Paul. The gospel was written for the Christians in Rome to present the person, work, and teachings of Jesus. So basically, he was writing to the Christians in Rome, and he was presenting everything that he was learning from Paul about Jesus, the work, the teachings, the things that Jesus did. So that was what Mark's gospel was all about. Mark's gospel omitted the birth of Jesus. It didn't talk about the birth of Jesus at all. Mark was young when he started following Jesus. The Last Supper was held in his parents' house. All right, so it's so he accompanied Paul on his trip, and it says Mark was a youth when he started following Jesus, so he had to learn from Paul. But the Last Supper was held in his parents' house, so he was there in Jesus' time because he was at the Last Supper. So that's amazing. Like I said, I'm not a teacher, so I'm learning this all with y'all. So he was not one of the 12 disciples. He wasn't a disciple, but the Last Supper was held at his parents' house. So maybe at that point he was a youth. He knew that Jesus came there, had the Last Supper there, and maybe at that time he started following Paul to learn more about who Jesus was. And that's what I'm kind of getting out of this, if he was a youth. All right, so the Gospel of Luke. Luke was a doctor. He was a Greek. And he was a Gentile Christian. He wasn't a Jew. He was a Gentile. Okay. And the gospel was written for the Gentiles, for non-Jewish people. It was written around 60 AD. Luke stresses Jesus' relationship with people. He emphasizes prayer. He talks about miracles. He talks about angels. And he records inspired hymns of praise. Luke was not a disciple. He also was a faithful companion of Paul, but he never met Jesus. So he was learning from Paul. From what I learned about Luke in the past, I learned that Luke was a non-believer when he started out, and he went there to find out just who this Jesus was and spend some time with Paul. And then he kind of fact checked everything. If Paul said something, he went and got more information and got fact checks. And he was one of those fact checker. And then he became a believer because of what he learned from everybody that he talked to and everything that he saw. He spoke with his disciples to get information he needed to present to the Gentiles. So once he became a believer, he presented all of his information to other non-Jews so that they could too be believers. So then we look at Paul. Then we look at John. We look at John the apostle. The apostle means the one that was sent. All apostles are disciples. Not all disciples are apostles. Disciples are leaders. That means everybody. Everybody can be a disciple. Jesus had 12 apostles, but they also called them disciples. It's very complicated, isn't it? I get that all mixed up. Okay, but it's saying all disciples are learners. So we're all disciples. We're all learning. We're all here to learn. So we're all disciples, but we are not apostles because we were not there in Jesus' time and we did not follow Jesus. Not live like that. So it's saying about John. Let's see what it's saying about John. Let me turn my page. John was writing for new Christians and for non-Christians. So his writings were going to the new Christians to teach them everything he knew about Jesus, and also for non-Christians to bring people around so they would believe in Christianity. It was written between 85 and 90 AD. It does not contain a genealogy or any record of Jesus' birth, any record of his childhood, any record of temptation, transfiguration, appointment of disciples or any account of his parables. Jesus had a lot of parables that he used. John does not talk about any of those. He doesn't talk about the ascension or the Great Commission. John was a devoted follower of Jesus and gives us a personal and powerful look at Jesus Christ, the eternal Son of God. So, looking at that, we're going to be looking at all of these Gospels throughout this 4 weeks of Advent. And that kind of gives you a background on each of them and who they were writing to and why they were writing and why each Gospel contains a little bit different information in it. So what do you see that indicates it will soon be Christmas? So you're looking around. What tells you it's soon going to be Christmas? What is it that you see out there? This is where you put something in the comment section over there. Oops. It just got fuzzy. I don't know if that was me or not. Does anybody out there know what you see that indicates it's Christmas? If I look around, like especially my house right now, I'm seeing a Christmas tree, and that's one indication that Christmas is coming. Maybe some decorations. I have a few decorations up. My Christmas stockings. I'm going to do a house tour later. But there's a lot of things that you may see that may indicate that Christmas is coming. Maybe snow. Maybe it's starting to get cold. It's starting to snow. The leaves are falling from the trees. The people have their Christmas lights up. Maybe there's signs on the churches that are saying, hanging of the greens or, Advent services. Maybe you're seeing this, somebody's doing an Advent service on YouTube, or those are all things that you can see that are indication that it's Christmas is coming. So imagine Jeremiah. Now, Jeremiah was another one of the prophets. Okay. He was a prophet of God. So imagine one day he's writing his poetry in the evening, illuminated by a firelight, except Jeremiah isn't by a fireplace. Okay. He sees Jerusalem burning in the distance. Jeremiah is sometimes called the weeping prophet. His words are heavy, full of lament and mourning. He was a soul in pain who screamed, wept, moaned, and left with a terror in his soul. But the Lord proclaimed things through him. He was a prophet, so the Lord proclaimed things through Jeremiah. So I'm going to be looking at Jeremiah 33, and I'm going to be going to verses 14 through 16. And it says 14 through 16, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will fill the gracious promise I made of the house of Israel to the house of Judah. In those days and at that time, I will make a righteous branch sprout from David's line. He will do what's right, what's just and right in the land. In those days, Judah will be saved, and Jerusalem will live in safety. This is the name by which it will be called, the Lord of righteousness. So this has given us hope. We see the stores are filled with Christmas items and trees for sale. Yes, that's what we see. We see the commercial side. We really see the commercial side of Christmas. Maybe is it more of a feeling than a sight? What do we see that says Jesus is here? Maybe we see somebody has a manger on their front yard with the Mary and a Joseph and a baby in it. That symbolizes that Jesus, it's the birth of Jesus, and it symbolizes hope, anticipation. What are we anticipating? If you're thinking about yourself right now and think about, what am I anticipating? Oh, I'm anticipating my children will come. I'm anticipating I'm going to see my grandchildren. I'm going to have gifts to give to them. Is that what Christmas is about? It is about family. We do notice people that are lonely. Do we? Some of us do if we're looking for that, but do all of us see that, or do all of us just see that, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. I've got to get this done. I've got to get that done. I've got this on this day, this on this day. I'm not, I can't see other people. I can't see the problems other people have. I got my own issues. I ain't got enough money. I got this, I got that. And thinking more about how much am I going to go in debt because I've got to get the biggest, best tree, and I've got to get the best gifts for my kids so that they can keep up with everybody else. And I've got to have this and I got to have that. Is that what people see at Christmas time? Or do they say, okay, my budget's different this year? Maybe it's not a year that I want to be all about giving to monetarily or gifts that people really don't need or want. Maybe it's a time where we just spend time. Maybe things are homemade this year. Maybe it's coming from the heart. Maybe we need to put more heart into the things we do. I've been doing a little bit of volunteering at a Christian radio station. They contacted me this morning to ask me if I would help them with a local concert at a church in a couple of weeks. And I said, yes, maybe I need to go there into a church and listen to the music about Jesus and hope, the music of hope and praise. And maybe that's what I need. I said, yes, of course I said yes, because I'm really looking forward to having my Christmas more God-centered this year. And hopefully I can bring that out to the children a little bit, is spend more time with them. It's not all about how many gifts that you can receive. It's more about spending time with them, spending time with God, and knowing that there's hope. And the world is in a crazy place right now. And we have to have hope or we're going to probably lose our minds. So I want the world to know. That's why I'm doing this study. I want the world to know that there's hope. And I hope that you feel that too, that through Jesus there's hope. There are a lot of people out there who are lonely. There are a lot of people out there who can't afford to do anything for their children this year because the ways of the world, the inflation, if you buy a gift for your child, you might not be able to feed them. So what are these people going to do? And like Stephanie said, back in Jersey, she said, do we see those people in need? Do we take the time to do something for them? That'll fill your heart and that'll fill their hearts because you want to give hope to them. And through Jesus, you want to give hope to them through Jesus, and you want to have the hope yourself. So if you are giving to somebody else, the blessings are going to come back to you. You're not just doing it to get the blessing, but you're doing it to bless others and for them to know that Jesus is there and that somebody cares about them. So Stephanie's right that we need to notice the people who are lonely and the people who need help. And retirement days is here, and I welcome you. I've been enjoying your videos on your cooking, and it's so awesome. So we are just talking about what we're seeing around Christmas time and what we're anticipating, and what are we anticipating this year. I have been so anticipating being able to help out at the Salvation Army distribution center this year. I did it way back in the past because I had a girlfriend at the time who she did not have very good Christmases as a child, and that was her way of she said no child should ever go without Christmas. So she was all about the Christmas center and helping out at Christmas time, and I did it to help for her because I wanted to support her in that mission. I got to love it and love doing things for other people. But then with my job, I switched jobs and I couldn't have time off during the week, only on the weekends. So I wasn't able to help for the last 10 years. I think I did stuff like Salvation Army Christmas stockings and stuff. But this year, part of my anticipation is I'm retired. I can go to the center and actually donate some of my time to, help with the Christmas angels, the angel tree, the gifts for the children, and to help out more in the labor than in the money part of it. Like I can give money, but I want to give part of me. So That's what I'm doing. I did one shift on Monday. I've got another shift on Friday and a couple shifts next week or in the weeks to come. But I also am trying to donate my time and my energies in other places. That was part of my anticipation this year, is to not just buy tons of gifts for my kids, because I told my kids I'm retired this year and it's not going to be that way. I wanted to be able to volunteer my time to spend more time with my kids, to spend more time with my grandkids, and to spend more time volunteering and being in missions with others. And this is part of what I wanted to do too. I wanted to do this Advent study to bring the word out to everybody out there that there's hope, and we should be anticipating a different way maybe this year, because the funds aren't there to give and give and give and give, because of the ways of the world too. So we need to recognize that there are a lot of people in need, and I know that we probably are struggling too, but what can we do? It may be a meal, maybe inviting somebody over for a meal or something. So how else does it relate today? Who are we waiting for? What are we praying for? What are we anticipating? Is there anything that you're anticipating this year that maybe it's different from years gone by? Where's your focus this year? Is it the same as every other year? Are you just focused on what you've always been focused on? I've got to get to the store. I've got to get the gifts. I've got to get everything wrapped. I got to get my Christmas cards out. Or is it, I've got to offer hope to somebody through Jesus. I've got to get the word out that there's hope. I've got to feed somebody this year, or give somebody, some child, a gift that may not get a gift. What is your focus this year? Let me know. Put it in the comments over there. Tell me where you are focused this year. My year is totally different. I'm focused on so many different things. Okay. What do you think God sees when he looks at the world today? Do you think God? Do you think Jesus? Do you think they're happy? Do you think they still think there's hope? I know their perspective is a whole lot different than ours. So I'm sure that Father God and Jesus both think that there is hope, because they're the ones that have the hope. They are just wondering what has taken us so long to accept it, probably. But what do you think? What do you think God sees right now when he looks at the world? Does he see the wars going on? The war in Israel? How does he feel about that? Are we praying? Do we take time to pray? If we can't give any other way, do we at least pray? Are we focused on God? Are we focused on our family? What are we focused on? What is God focusing on? All right. No comments? All right. Let me know in the comment section. If you're watching this video afterwards, please feel free to answer all the questions. I really wanted this interactive. I'm hoping that more people will come in the weeks to come. I appreciate Stephanie from back in Jersey coming. I appreciate Retirement Days for coming. I really appreciate it. I hope you will join all the studies. I hope this will bring you closer to God. I hope this class will offer you hope. And it's saying that the church celebrates the first Sunday of Advent with the hanging of the greens. Are you all ready for the hanging of the greens? Was that last week? I didn't go to church last week. That's bad. I was traveling back from Pennsylvania to Virginia here, coming back from my in-laws' house. We went up there for Thanksgiving. So I think the hanging of the greens might have been last week. I'm not sure about that. But they light the first Advent candle when they do the hanging of the greens, and that is the candle of hope, letting us know that they're preparing for Jesus' birth. They're in Bethlehem, or on their way to Bethlehem, Mary and Joseph, and they're going to bring hope into the world, just as the prophets told us, as Micah and Jeremiah and Isaiah, all the prophets told us. Oh, that's okay. Sometimes if you might want to type a few sentences and then start and type a few more, because I think there's a limit to the amount of letters that you can have when you're putting a message in there. So feel free to give me a sentence or two and then enter it into the chat and then just keep going. And that's fine. I'll know that, because there is a limit to how much you can type into the chat. So, and if you still want to type some of that in there, that's fine. I'll go back to it. I am not opposed to that. I'm going to keep going ahead, but I don't mind going back to reading your chat. So, so are we just going through the motions? Are we hanging the greens because that's what we're supposed to do this week? Are we going to the church? Are we lighting the Advent candle and saying our prayers and saying, okay, that's the first candle, next week will be the next one? Or are we really thinking about what is going on? Maybe this year we can look at it a little differently and say, okay, they're offering me hope. Let me go into my Bible and let me read a little bit about what the prophets are saying, and let me read a little bit about what the Gospels are saying about hope and about what is going to happen in the next weeks. And let me really think about this and not just go through the motions, because a lot of people have so much going on that all they want to do is just go through the motions. Okay, I went to church. Check that off my list. Okay, I got to do this. Check that off my list. And their lists are just taking them through the motions of Christmas, and they're not taking the time. I'm trying to get everything in my house decorated before Friday this week, because I'm going to pick up my two youngest grandkids and they're going to spend the weekend with us. We're going to a Santa parade, and I want everything ready. I don't want to be rushing through the holidays trying to get things ready. And that's the way I normally do the holidays. But I want to put more volunteer work and more time in for others. Not that I didn't do that with Black Friday and stuff before, but I just am trying. I really am trying. And Stephanie's saying, I have a donation ready for my dentist's office. They're collecting for the food pantry. That's awesome. Also my prayer group, and I have prayer list and collect donations. That's awesome too. I keep a prayer list going. I try to remember to pray every day. I try to remember to pray continuously. Prayer is important. It's important to God. It's important to making changes in the world, to healing, to everything. I think there's a lot of power in prayer. So I learned through a Bible study class years ago that you should pray continuously. Like if I hear the siren from an ambulance or a siren from a fire truck, I pray for the paramedics. I pray for the people that they're going to take care of. There's a lot of things that can trigger prayer. Maybe you ride by a hospital and you pray for the people in the hospital, or you see a car accident and you pray for the people in the accident and the responders and everything. There's plenty of opportunity throughout your day to pray. Now, if I'm watching somebody's video and that video is saying, will you pray for whomever, I take the time right then to stop and to say a prayer. And I even have some of the my subscribers that I know they need constant prayer because of medical issues. I have them on my prayer list. I have a prayer list on a pad of paper. And as people get better or whatever, I can take them off the prayer list, but I can also keep them in the back of my prayers so that they're always in my prayers. And, I just pray in general for everybody anyway. But are there specific prayers that need to go out to maybe help somebody? I think there is power in prayer. So I think prayer is a big thing, to pray for the children and to pray for the people in the wars and the countries that have been tore up from war and everything this Christmas and throughout the year. So do you really believe there's hope? Is there hope? Do you take time to pray? Do you take time to read the Bible every day? I try to. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to be like every single day. I might miss a couple days, but I have my Bible sitting on my kitchen table, and I do take the time to try to read it every single morning, unless I'm out that door at 7 a.m. or something like that, and I haven't got up early. I may read it later. I may just skip it for the day, but I do a Bible study on Tuesday nights, which is tonight. And I am the facilitator for that. Like I said, I'm not a teacher, but we all learn together. And that helps me too, to stay in the Word. So maybe if you need something like that, maybe you need a group to help you stay in the Word. I might try to keep these going. If this series goes well, I might try to keep a little Tuesday morning study going. If y'all like this type of thing. And some people actually, I'll watch the numbers, how many people watch it and what kind of response I get back. But if that's something that you would like, I will try to keep the study going and different studies. My daughter has a surgery coming up. She will need our help. So yes, they're for the elders of my family and my kids. And yes, they're for the elders in the family and my kids. Yes. And I have a brother-in-law who was just taken to the hospital this morning. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but he does have medical issues anyway. So if you will keep him in your prayers also, and my sister. Could we do more? Is there more that we can do for other people? Is there more we could do as a community for other people? Maybe think about that and put some comments in the comment section of, what could we do to get the word out about God? Or Jesus, what could we do to be there for people this Christmas season? What is it we could do? How do we bring the news of hope in Jesus and others to others this Christmas season? The scriptures fill us with a sense of anticipation for a child Messiah to be born. And again, we're going to go back to Isaiah, or we're going to go to Isaiah. I don't know that we've been there yet. And I'm going to Isaiah 7:14. And Isaiah 7:14 says, therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will be with child and will give birth to a son and will call him Emmanuel. So Isaiah is telling us there's hope. There's going to be hope. The virgin's with a child. She's going to give birth to a son, and he's going to be called Emmanuel. And then in Isaiah 9, verse 6, it's saying, for to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. It's telling us there's hope. The Messiah is coming. Jesus will be born. I like to make time for a devotional and make time for prayer with my husband nightly. That's awesome. That's awesome. There's so many devotional books out there that you can use for that. I think that's awesome. Oh, thank you. I'm not a teacher. I'm a facilitator. I kind of facilitate the study. I kind of look at where I want to go with it. and I kind of just read. I can't sit here and preach because I don't understand and know it that well, but with help from others and our discussions together, it helps me to get an understanding of how people look at the word and how I look at the word, and if we're looking the same way, and everybody has their own interpretation. And you can read a scripture and go back and read that scripture later, and it might have a total different meaning for you because you're in a different place in your life at the time. So this is the living word. This word changes and it talks to you in different ways, no matter how you are in your life or where you are in your life. You can get meaning from the scriptures and the things in the Bible. So thank you for the prayers. Sending cards, just touching somebody, especially if they're in like a nursing home or a facility where they might not get people visiting them. I know with COVID, it was hard to get visitors into places. So cards and letters, those things, and even for family and for friends, I love getting cards. I mean, just to know that somebody took the time to think about me and send me a card is awesome. I need to get better at that. I don't send out cards and stuff as much as I should. And one year I tried to do it where I would have a list of people, and each month I tried to pick somebody off the list to just send them a hello, how are you doing card. And I need to get better. Maybe that's something I'll put on my list this year, is to try to reach out to people through cards and stuff. That's a great idea. So ending up this is just thinking about how can we offer hope, because our hour is about up here. But I wanted to end this with Jesus offered hope. Mary and Joseph, by having Jesus, bringing him to Bethlehem, to fulfilling the prophecies. The prophets were offering hope, saying this is going to come. Be looking for it, anticipate it. It's coming. We're celebrating the anticipation, the hope right now this week. So how can we offer hope through Jesus' name to other people this Christmas season? Is there something that you can do that somebody can see God through you? Is it a kind word? Is it giving a meal, giving coffee to somebody that's cold on the street, bringing them a coffee? What is it that you can do? Maybe you know somebody in your neighborhood or in your community who doesn't have food. They're struggling just to, that's everybody these days. The cost of groceries is outrageous. Maybe we fix them a little basket of food to bring to them, and maybe not just for Thanksgiving, but just to feed their children for the weekend. Maybe they're struggling. And, some people struggle and they have jobs, like both the mom and the dad work, but they still struggle just to pay their bills with the price of heating going up and the price of, everything going up. Do you pay your heat bill, or do you feed your children, or do you feed yourselves? Where does it give? Do you feed yourself, but you turn the heat down to 60 and you're freezing every night, and you covering up with, blankets and putting a snowsuit on, and, what is it that you do? Where do you not spend so that you can have your basic needs? And then, can we offer hope to people who need it like that? Are your loved ones in the hospital? Can we take care of their children for a couple of days so they can spend some time with their loved ones that may be in the hospital and they can't go to see because they have children to watch every night? That doesn't cost you money. That you're watching children. Maybe you're inviting the neighbor children to come in and make cookies with you so that their parents can have some time alone to, do what it is they need to do. Oh, that's great that you're sending prayers along with the cards. That's great. I have got a portal through Facebook, a Facebook portal, and I gave that to my mom and my sisters when COVID started and nobody could go out of their houses and stuff. And we wanted to keep in touch, especially with my mom, who was in assisted living, and they weren't allowing people in the building, so that we could every day turn the portal on and sit with each other in the afternoon and, do what we needed to do. I would, turn the portal down, the volume really low if I was working from home, and have them in my background while I worked at the same time. I could do that on most days. I could at least spend some time with them while I worked. And then now we do it in the afternoon while I was decorating yesterday. I had them on the portal just to spend some time with them, to give my mom hope. She's 90 years old now, and she shouldn't be sitting alone. So I know my sisters, two of my sisters that live near my mom up in northern New York, go to visit her on Tuesdays, bring her lunch, have lunch with her, and play cards with her. When I'm up there, I try to see her every day that I'm up there. But I can only go a few times a year. At least when I was working, I can probably go a little bit more, but I don't go in the winter because I'm afraid to drive in the snow and stuff. Not really. Well, I don't like it. So I'm not going to put myself in danger to go up when the weather isn't good. But once April hits, it's pretty clear. So I'm trying to go up now 2 or 3 times in the summer to be able to spend some time with my mom, because, I think it's important to spend time with family. So, and it's good for me too. Praying for a young family at the diner when they don't expect it just to help. Oh, paying for somebody. Yes, you can pay it forward. Yeah, take somebody's ticket. You see a family behind you in a drive-through or something, to drive through food place, you can pay for the meal. Maybe a firefighter or something, pay for their meal. I've had a family in front of me before, a mother and a young child, that she was going through her groceries saying, I'll take this, I'll take that. How much do I have now? Okay, we'll add this one. How much do I have now? Well, I can't afford these last 3 items. And I've paid for the last 3 items for them. They probably didn't add up too much, but she had a budget and she had to stick to her budget, because if she went over that budget, then something else, she might not be able to have. Baby formula is expensive. Baby diapers are expensive. We're going to have a new grandbaby in January. It's going to be expensive for them. They both work, but they don't make a lot of money. These days, nobody makes a lot of money. Well, unless you're extremely rich or have a really, really great job. But the average person doesn't make a whole lot of money. Steve and I are blessed to be able to live with what we need with our incomes. I think, and I found out a long time ago, by giving a little bit, I don't see the difference. I don't miss that money because it comes back to me in blessings. So not that I do it for blessings, but I'm just saying that you don't really miss that money. I don't know. To me, it's worth giving up some junk food or something that you really didn't need, and spending that $10, $20 to help somebody else out. That's all I'm really saying. So there's hope. Let's offer hope to somebody else this week. Do something nice, even if it's a kind word, a card, a prayer. And if you want to share that when we come back on Tuesday next week, let me know what blessing, if somebody blessed you, or if you got a blessing or gave a blessing. Give us ideas on how to give blessings to other people. Then everybody that's watching this after the live stream, give us ideas of how to give blessings to other people this week, and we'll see how many people we can give blessings to. That would be awesome. And that's about it for this week. I'm not going to hold you guys past an hour if I can help it. So I want to thank you for coming in, Stephanie and retirement days. Thank you for coming in and spending some time with me. I hope other people will enjoy this after the live stream ends. They can watch it and enjoy it, I hope. And let me know how you think. I know, Stephanie, that you would like me to continue. I will do the Advent study. But if this works out well, I'll continue on with some more studies. So thank you all. Have a blessed day. Offer hope to somebody. There is hope out there. We're all have anticipation of the birth of Jesus and Jesus' return, and offering hope to us. So have a blessed day. I will catch you on next week's live stream. Until then, I'll talk to you later. Bye now.